Hello and welcome to the 5th edition of Goa Arts and Literary Festival at the International Center of Goa. Each year we have been getting better and better, and this year we have speakers from all across the globe. Today we have a very prominent journalist, Mr. Delip D'Souza, with us. Good morning, sir. So my first question is, you were a computer scientist for years. What influenced you to write?
Probably two things, Sakshi. One is I think when I was a kid, I used to do well in my compositions, and also my parents used to tell me, "Why don't you try writing?" But I never took it seriously. So at one point, I did try to write, and it seemed interesting, and I got published, and that one thing led to the other, and I finally became a full-time writer. But the other thing that I feel helped me with it seemed pushed me into writing. It seems illogical, but actually my computer science training, because computer science engineering, it makes you think logically, makes you make connections between things and get to the core of issues, and so all that I feel helps me in my writing. So it's in effect actually it was a very good training for writing. I feel like I really feel that. So that it just seemed like an interesting thing to do.
So, your transition from being a computer scientist to a journalist, a columnist, and a blogger, how has your journey been?
Like I said before, first of all, it really seemed logical to me. A lot of my friends come and ask me, or people say, you were a computer scientist and now you're a writer, what the hell happened to you? But to me, in my mind, it seemed like a logical way to go. I don't mean that every journalist needs to have a computer science training, but to me, it just seemed like this was the way my life went. At some point, I thought this is something that interested me more. And luckily, I was in a position to be able to do that. A lot of people in the middle of their career, they've got other commitments. They feel like they can't change to do something they really want to do. I was lucky. I feel lucky that I was able to do that. So it seemed like I finally found what I wanted to do, what I had to do, which was writing, and I was able to do it. So above all, I really feel lucky. It's a good feeling to know that you're doing what you want to do.
So, you had family support while you were doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have gone anywhere without family support. So, but my parents were a little perturbed when I said I want to switch from software to writing, and I was in my mid 30s at the time. So, and understandably they were perturbed. But when they saw that I was interested and passionate and wanted to do it, they didn't have any objection. But more than that, my wife, I feel particularly really believes in me and believes in what I do, and that you put into words or can't underestimate the strength that gives you. So.
Talking about your book, Branded by Law, which talks about the denotified tribes, which is actually a very unique topic that your book revolves around. How did you come up with this idea?
I was interested in a lot of issues in India, which I was writing about, and so on. And the really fascinating thing about this country is that I feel as a writer professionally is you go anywhere, you pick up a stone, and it's like that. You find a story there. So it was like that for me. In somewhere in 1998, I think I went to hear a lecture, and lecture was about these denotified tribes, and I had never in my whole life in India heard about this phenomenon. I'd never heard about it, and I couldn't believe I'd lived. I thought I'm a fairly aware guy. I keep my eyes open, but I'd never heard of this phenomenon. It just struck me, how did that happen? So then I wanted to learn more about it. So actually, I had a fellowship. I applied for a fellowship to do some writing about them, and then that eventually led to the book. It was just that I felt like in some ways it captured a lot of what India is about in various different ways to me. And it just felt like it was something that had to be written.
In your book, Final Test, you write about a historic event in the cricket history. What made you write about it?
I am a fan of cricket. I like cricket. I particularly particularly like Test cricket. I don't like the other forms of cricket. Maybe that's old school. I just like the way Test cricket is played. But the reason that it interested me is that it really wasn't about cricket. That whole event was the cricket match itself was a pretty lousy match. We just beat the West Indies handily. But the whole tamasha around it, this whole hype around Sachin, and so that I thought there's something to be written there. And attending the match and seeing all the hoopla, And then what that says about cricket in this country, what are putting this man on a pedestal says about cricket in the country. Truly, at one level is I'm not really a fan of Sachin, but not because he's not a great cricketer. He's a great cricketer, but I was never a fan of his style of batting. But apart from that, I really feel that I think to an extent he demeaned himself by going on for the last 2 years of his career, which were pretty mediocre compared to his earlier standards of excellence. So I felt like something needs to be written and said about that, and how that culminated in this final test. So that's broadly what the book is about.
You just said that you love Test cricket, but experts say that the Test cricket is coming to a natural end, like it's going to die soon. What do you have to say about that?
No, these so-called experts have been saying this ever since the coming of ODIs. Um, I don't think it's going to happen because if you watch Test cricket, more and more tests are actually being played. Uh, there is an audience for it, and I think there will be an audience, and people. There are enough people who just like the all the opportunities for intrigue and strategy that Test cricket gives you. And I think that's so. I don't think it's going to die. I'm optimistic in that sense.
Coming to your blog, Death Ends Fun, it has a really very interesting title to it. How did you come up with this title, and what does it signify?
So it's got a very simple origin, really. So I used to live in Austin, in Texas, and not even that has nothing to do with either. But I was just driving one day, and a car overtook me, and it had this bumper sticker on the back. And Death Ends Fun. And that's all it said. And I nearly fell over laughing. I don't know why, I just found it hilarious. So that phrase just stuck in my mind. And then when I started the blog, I just thought I'd call it that. The name just suddenly came into my head. And I used to use it after I saw this on a bumper sticker, then at the bottom of my email, the signature, I used to put Death Ends Fun and then my email address. So people knew that my friends knew that I used that phrase. So I thought this was also a tribute to that.
What do you think it means?
Well, at one level, it does mean that I really felt it came alive, actually, or that's the wrong word, but it came to mean something very sadly. For example, last week when this poor Phil Hughes died, in Australia. Truly, in fact, I said that on Twitter. I feel like my handle finally has some significance. It truly ended some fun, and so it's true. In a serious sense, it's true. Death does, and you have fun. You're having fun, but it's also got a funny side to it. It tickles some funny bone in me. I'm not fully sure why, but I just like that phrase.
When I went to your blog, I came across 2 articles which notified that you aren't a fan of Narendra Modi and you don't support him. You mentioned that he appointed Maya Kodnani as a minister. Don't you feel that maybe some mistakes should be forgiven sometimes?
Sakshi, this is a pretty big mistake. And the thing about it is, if he admitted that it was a mistake, that would be one thing. But he's defended it. He's told a lie on national TV. He said that there was no case against her when I appointed her prisoner, which is not true. She herself is on record in an interview that is public domain, where she herself says on March 1st or March 2nd, 2002, that there is this case against me. So she's acknowledging that, and she says it's false. Fine, but she's acknowledging there's this case been filed against me. So that's the first thing, is that it's a lie to say there was no case when I appointed her minister. The second thing that really damns this whole issue in my mind is that when so she was appointed minister, and then she ran for election and was appointed minister, and so 2 years after that the case came up. So her own government, Modi's government, files an affidavit in court which says, please don't give this woman bail because she's a minister. She will intimidate the witnesses. So look at it. Her own government is saying this about her. So then if this is the case, why did you appoint her minister? I haven't yet been able to come up with, or nobody's explained this situation to me in any reasonable way. There's no easy ordinary explanation for this, and that's my big problem with Mr. Modi.
So, what I have read about you online tells me that you have a big love for traveling and you have already visited 25 countries. What is your dream destination?
Oh, there are many countries I'd like to. I've always wanted to go to Laos. I've always wanted to go to Italy. I, uh, I did visit Madagascar, but I went on my own backpacking. So, and it's a francophone country. So, and my wife teaches French. So now that we've got married, I want to go back with her, so she can talk to the people that I wasn't able to talk to. So show her a little bit of a wide appeal to me. So that's one country I'd like to go to. But I would love to go almost anywhere. I'm hoping to go to Nagaland, where I've never been. India is full of all kinds of interesting places. I mean, like I said, you can pick up a stone and there's an interesting story. You pick up a stone in this country and there's an interesting place to visit. So, there's no one dream destination. Practically everywhere in this world, I feel, is a dream destination.
What are your expectations from the 5th edition of Goa Arts and Literary Festival?
The same that I've had before. It's what I really like about this festival. Not that I've been to a lot. I don't get invited to too many, but this one is nice because I feel it's small and small in the sense that there have been times when I've been in a room with a famous William Dalrymple, for example. The last time I was here, there's a room there where there were maybe I was one of 25 people in the audience listening to him. And in any other festival there'd be thousands. So here it was so intimate. We could all talk to him. We could all ask him questions, and that was nice. And I mean, of course, the downside to that is sometimes there are only 3 or 4 people in the audience, but that's okay. That sense of intimacy and closeness. I feel it would be a pity if this festival ever lost that. That's what I like about it.
Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. That was Mr. Delip D'Souza with us. This is Sakshi signing off. We have a lot more coming up at Goa Arts and Literary Festival.